What is the love of Christ? If one were to now imagine the individual named Jesus Christ, an individual that gave the best of his abilities to all walks of man, which in all walks of man we see him create miracles, healings, ways of understanding the self from which the Word became flesh. In the understanding of Christ, one might imagine that even upon being a sinless individual, giving the best of his best in his offering to God, you find that even in his punishment of being a sinless individual, we see then him being punished through the arrest, the accusation from Judah. In the understanding of Christ, one might find one particular notion that even as a sinless individual, you may experience punishment. Punishments in life that which might take you to your very physical limitations. And even in those physical limitations, are you able to arise to give the best of your best? A mentality, if you wish, an inspiration to stem your core beliefs from. And from said core, the mentality, in the understanding, one might place the analogy that even being a sinless individual, Christ is sentenced to a punishment that which he had accepted, being the sinless individual. In his good intention, said punishment was not in his control, but he foresaw it coming. Ultimately, one might find one particular key factor in that particular forecoming. At the Last Supper, we see one particular sharing of a gathering. The 12 disciples, the 12 followers of Christ, that which would follow him and state their subjective truth in their understanding of how the works of life were, in their opinions, and without ever telling them what the truth actually was, Christ would invoke in the individual by placing his subjective truth, which would result in each other individual in themselves speaking the truth they always needed to hear, resulting in their healing, the miracle. In those particular miracles, once again, we see the sinless self, the good intention, being that sinless self, known as the good intention, pursuing the ideal, and the ideal of being a good-hearted person. And even being a good-hearted person, you might experience a punishment in life that which you did not necessarily deserve, but you essentially are given said punishment, such as an accident, an injury, or taking your physical body to the very limitations of itself in your pursuit and pursuing of being the best of your best self, surrendering everything you had to give, the best of your best. And in surrendering everything, one might find the driving notion behind the prophesied comings of the arrests of Christ. Christ being a Nazarite, and a Nazarite being an individual that they themselves does not drink alcohol of a wine. At the Last Supper, you might imagine Christ drank for the very first time. And in the understanding of a Nazarite, you might see that a Nazarite waits for their first drink to be able to toast for the first time with God. At the Last Supper, we see Christ predict and prophesize his arrest. And in prophesizing his arrest, we see him once again be taken to the furthest of the best of his abilities. In the worst of the punishments he is given, taking his body to his physical limitations. Once again, he continuously gives the best of his best throughout the entire story known as Jesus of Nazareth. In becoming Jesus Christ, we see him invoking the sinless self, invoking giving the best of his best abilities. No matter how far his physical limitations have taken him, as a result of giving the best of his best abilities, once again he continuously arises throughout the story. And in arising, Christ is King. Christ is the self that can rule the world. And in that mentality, which you as an individual can actively engage in said mentality of giving the best of your best intentions, no matter what it is you do. But ultimately, the best of your best stems from where does exactly your moral compass sit in all of it. Because you might find you veer one way more than the other. And so ultimately, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. If you live by the darkness, you die by the darkness. And if you live by the light, you die with the light. Thank you.